actually be very technical forum. I think it's very important for the future of Penang. And as I mentioned just now, the fact that Gartner is doing the first ever series in Penang is again a recognition that Penang is right on track as far as manufacturing and services sector is concerned. And this is something that we want to highlight. Gartner is the leading research analyst for technology. So it's just like when you talk about business, you talk about Forbes. Some not agree, but when you talk about various leading experts as a benchmark, Gartner is one of these benchmarks. So the fact that I say they are doing here research forum in Penang is a recognition that Penang is back on track as far as technology is concerned. So any questions from the press?
For Malaysia, in particular Penang, what's the next step for the IT industry to go up? Because your report only states that it is for offshore services only. So anywhere else that you can expand upon?
Yeah. So as Minister Lim said, we believe that in Malaysia, the manufacturing and the services side will continue to grow with the foreign investment that's coming in and the infrastructure that we embrace in Penang. We feel that this sector will continue to grow in the near future. So to Gartner is we are putting a lot of effort in introducing our service to the Asia region, and now we are putting also a lot of investment in Malaysia. And after KL, Penang will be the next stage, and we are putting our investment in Malaysia.
Can you elaborate more about the opportunities in 3D technology for Penang?
Can I ask Andrew to answer?
Yeah, sure.
The opportunities in 3D printing are often linked with manufacturing. Many of the historic use cases for 3D printing have come from the automotive industry. The important advances that we see now in the future are associated with industries that need a fast turnaround for their market. Also associated with the demand from the consumer industry. And in this respect, Penang is in an important geographic position because it's geographically close to large growth markets, that of mainland China and that of India. Often these manufacturing related issues do have a geographical component. So 3D printing could be particularly important for Penang.
Hamijan from the Malaysian Reserve. What kind of presence does Gartner have in Malaysia presently?
So we've been in Malaysia for about 10 years now, and we really putting more investment, expanding our team about 4 years ago. So at this stage, we are, Singapore is the hub, HQ of Asia region. We are leveraging a lot of resources from Singapore because of the geographically very close. So in terms of the team size that we have, it's still relatively small in KL. We have about 10, the size of 10 in KL at this moment. But we are leveraging a lot of resources in Singapore. Like I said, we have more than 100 people in Singapore.
Do you see Malaysia expanding as you have in Singapore, or will Singapore still be the main satellite to expand to this part of the world?
So 2 questions there. The first question is whether Malaysia expanding. Definitely yes. Our business here has been growing very, very well. It's actually 300% growth over the last 4 years. So we expect that to continue. When the technology demand growth in Malaysia, that's where we can help our clients. Your second question, whether this will be the hub, no, that is probably yet to be decided. At this moment, it makes a lot of sense for us to set up the hub in Singapore, where we are more mature, more established. But looking into the future, when we look at the cost and point of view, maybe it makes more sense to shift our resource over to Malaysia. But at this stage, we are still not certain.
So that 300% growth, that would be, how do you measure that? What kind of growth is it?
300% growth
For the Malaysia region?
for Malaysia.
In what sense?
Well, it's not probably appropriate for me to share numbers here. We are putting a huge investment really.
No, my question is the 300% growth, is it in revenue or?
Revenue, yes,
Revenue.
exactly.
Mr. Phillips, you mentioned about automotive being one of the industries that would require 3D printing. What else besides that Penang companies in Penang can easily do to support the 3D printing on the bus?
Well, this is associated with a variety of consumer products. I think 3D printing is a relatively new technology, so it may be that some of the end applications for it are not fully realised. In terms of our research, we're showing that enterprise and manufacturing use of 3D printing is certainly much more advanced than consumer adoption of that technology. So it may be some years yet before you choose to have a 3D printer at home, for example, for some use.
But currently, what can we do to support manufacturing components for 3D printers, or what are the areas that we can move into, as Danny specifically, that Penang can leverage on its capabilities?
I'm not sure I can answer that question without accessing our research.
Okay. Any other questions?
Mr. Lim, maybe I can ask you a political question.
This is a Gartner research. I think we
Okay.
respect the
Okay.
host. Any questions relating to economy? I've got another function later.
Okay.
Perhaps if I can add one point to one of the points that the Minister made earlier, which I think he made an important comment that he wanted, there's an intention to grow the services business. Services business is a critical business for IT. Manufacturing, as you know, has had historic importance in Penang. One of the critical aspects of the services industry is its reliance on IT and making good IT decisions. From Gartner's point of view, as the services industry grows within Penang, that means the number of IT managers, IT leaders and CIOs in Penang will increase as well. This is an important consideration for Gartner. As I mentioned in my opening statement, business decisions that are separated from IT and technology decisions are becoming far fewer in industry these days. So part of Gartner's growth is associated with advising CIOs and IT leaders on making good technology decisions to grow this services business that the Minister speaks of. So in this respect, Penang's intended growth in the services industry and Gartner's reason for being, which is to provide business-related technology advice, work hand in hand.
Here we're talking about billion ringgit industry here. So I'm talking about Penang, because we talk about internationally, we have trillion for services, in dollars, we're talking billion ringgit, of course, in Penang. The billion ringgit industry in Penang is something that we want to actually venture. We hope that the media can at least use that focus here, because it's critical for Penang's future growth. And also to assist our reporters, I think we're having a translation in Mandarin also.
The
Just one more
Oh, I
thing,
see.
sorry, just one more thing, Mr. Phillips. In Penang, are there any companies that are using 3D printing technology?
There's a strong focus on 3D printing here.
Yeah, it's
Because it's
mentioned by
exotic.
I think some care is needed with 3D printing at the moment. According to Gartner's research, 3D printing is currently at the peak of what Gartner describes as a hype cycle. This means that many industries are likely to overestimate the business benefits that can be brought about from 3D printing. Any technology that's at the peak of the Gartner hype cycle has a tendency towards inflated expectations regarding regarding the business value that it can deliver. One of the things to be cautious about over the next couple of years is that difficulties, hurdles, barriers to success will be seen for 3D printing, particularly in the consumer space. Industry participants need to be careful that in the same way as the expectations are overly inflated at the moment, these difficulties, hurdles, barriers, technical shortcomings that might be seen in the next couple of years are not seen as an absolute failure of 3D printing. These issues need to be seen in balance and with measure. And as Gartner sees the future for 3D printing becoming clearer, the research that we write will give industry users the opportunity to make a balanced decision on whether 3D printing is right for their business right now. The great risk today is that everything on 3D printing seems wonderful, rosy and shiny. And this may not be the absolute truth. The coming years are a very important time to be very realistic about whether 3D printing is appropriate for your business. Have a clear understanding of the technical and business challenges that are appropriate to your business, so that you can make the right phased and timed decisions regarding this new technology. It's at the peak of the hype right now. We will go into a period that we call a trough of disillusionment. So actually right now is a critical time for making sure that you're not overly ambitious and overly optimistic. It's a time when care is needed.
3D, maybe you can explain what's the meaning of 3D printing for the benefit. What do you mean by 3D printing? Additive manufacturing. From computer, you can actually do everything customized. Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's a combination of computer-aided design and mechanical manufacturing that allows you to take what we would call digitized images and then reproduce them in a three-dimensional format. Typical printing technologies, as you know, have been two-dimensional. Something like this would show a printed piece of paper. 3D printing takes it into a new dimension. Of course, actually a third dimension to be specific, but it does have implications in terms of the materials that can be used and the tooling.
For example, you want to build a violin. Let's give an example, a violin. A violin where it has unique features, customize it. You put it on a computer. You do all the 3D design computer. You press a button. I mean, of course, it's not so simple, but yeah, but basically means you press a button and you go in and it will be built layer by layer. That's why it's also called additive manufacturing.
Yeah, exactly.
You build it layer by layer until you have the violin exactly the same as you see it in your computer. So that is what is so exciting. It is what's so exciting, there's a lot of hype around it. But whether it can be applicable in the marketplace, that is something that's a very big question mark. But that is what additive manufacturing is all about. It's very good for niche markets. When you talk about customized items. For example, you want to build a microphone like this, you put it on the computer, 3D, then you press a button, you start building it layer by layer, and you come out with the exact computer that which is physical and then which can go. That is what 3D printing is all about. Okay. Alright, I think you are all now very satisfied. Thank you very much.
Well,